Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us and watching this video recording about sustainable growth marketing, building a dev ecosystem that lasts. I'm Sabina Lee, CEO and founder of AngelHack, and this is a presentation that we put together for Evans Data Conference a few months ago, and we thought it was a really powerful presentation and that we wanted to record it and distribute it out to our community and fellow hackathon organizers, so that you guys can benefit from some of this information as well. First things first, a little bit about the AngelHack family. We have a community of about 250,000 code creators and change makers all over the world. What that means is that we have developers, designers, and entrepreneurs that are part of our mailing list, that have come to our events, participated in our virtual hackathons, or are active members in our community. We've hosted over 520 in-person hackathons in 148 cities in 66 countries all over the world. A few of our clients include Accenture, IBM, Cisco, UN Women, World Bank, Condé Nast, HP, NFL, the list goes on and on. We are a trusted partner for a lot of Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, as well as global NGOs, to make sure that their hackathon initiatives and larger innovation initiatives are executed perfectly and have a sustainable plan that helps them grow and really be on the forefront of innovation and developer engagement. So what we wanted to go over in this presentation are some stories from the field, the 66 countries of developer relations and hackathons that we've gone through. We've amassed a lot of information and a lot of great insight into how to grow a successful developer campaign and community, and to recognize motivational factors developers have for engaging with your platform and brand, how to start and scale a developer community, and developer relation goals and challenges. So really we want to go through all of the nitty gritty in starting a developer community from scratch. And then of course, if you are already down that path of establishing a developer community, leveraging some of our best practices and our experience to make sure that you are motivating developers with the most valuable motivational factors and learning from our experiences. Joining with me today is Christina Wilson. She is the regional manager for our Middle East and Africa hackathons, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the modern developer.
Yeah, hi everybody. Just looking at the developer snapshot, a lot of people have trouble really connecting with this group, or they're such a smart and skeptical group, it's not an easy one to turn into passionate evangelists. And I think, we've definitely seen throughout the world, it's a community that definitely cannot be painted with one brush. And they are also constantly evolving. So companies that try to treat them like a formula, guess what? They're gonna just evolve right out of your algorithms. So we always work with companies really to have this customized and open outlook. And, a lot of the winners often are not what people expect, like a lot of self-taught hackers, even 14-year-olds winning competitions that come up with really, amazing ideas. So we work with our partners to really observe, discover their specific developer community's aspirations and 5-10-year outlook. What are that, spectrum of wants and needs, and constructing a win-win scenario from there. One great example of a program we did, this was 2016 and 17. We knew we wanted to increase our female participation rate. At some events, it was even as low as 2%. So we, as a female majority, female founded team, putting our heads together to try to change that ratio, along with our partners that also wanted this. And this was just a great lesson in allowing the community to define the problems with us. So we didn't tell people exactly what to create. Like if you want to tell them exactly what to make, like it's better to hire a dev agency. But in this scenario, we worked with these amazing women all over the world, creating real solutions to all sorts of problems we wouldn't have even guessed in a lot of the ways. So this co-creation of the mission and vision was critical to the success of the program. Just a quick overview, we had 207 solutions built, but ideas ranged from bias reporting tools, imposter syndrome identification, opportunity and funding aggregators, educational bots, IoT health devices. Even in one country, people really weren't able to talk with people about problems, and it was almost impossible to get mentorship. So the platform ended up uncovering all these invisible problems in society that we're then able to work with nonprofits and things to solve. App Dynamics, this is a great example of another kind of internal hackathon that we do with a lot of companies that want to bring this experience and energy within the company. This one was really amazing in that we not only got all sorts of patents and reached a lot of the overall innovation goals of the company, but sparked this almost internal cultural evolution of like getting all the departments to work together. We strategized with them, like, how do you really incentivize everyone and give them that space to fully engage on this and get like executives on board. But now it's, grown to be not just a small week, but an entire program that has lead up workshops, making people not intimidated by technology, and from all departments feeling comfortable diving in and coming up with ideas, to a whole program that like brings them to life afterwards. Another really awesome example of a hybrid competition that we partner with is Call for Code, and it's really great because it's also focused on these real world problems and not just a PR show. It's really bringing these ideas to life. And this is one of our ambassadors, as an example, pictured here, won the whole competition, and now their idea is being implemented in Puerto Rico and other places to help with natural disaster preparedness. And they've also open sourced their technology recently. So a really awesome example. And then the upcoming theme for this one is climate change and COVID-19. So, always iterating to stay relevant to the newest problems. We really loved this model because it's, to me, it's kind of the future of how companies can work with this ecosystem in a very creative way. This, instead of having purely internal technology creation, it's just open the field to anyone really that has cool ideas in the tech space to build all sorts of integrations and additions that sync with Shopify. And this could be why Shopify has maintained its dominance in e-commerce as like the best solution, constantly evolving right with all the field and other apps. And it really shows what's possible. I mean, they have over 1 million apps and this innovative revenue sharing model that incentivizes all the stakeholders around this common vision. So people can really earn money while having this freedom to be creative. So we work with them to host competitions to localize their offerings. So, maybe they'll make something for an Asian audience. And here, I'll hand it back to Sabine to talk about this, one of our big keys to AngelHack.
Thanks, Christina. So one of the big keys for AngelHack is to make sure that everything that we're doing has a localized perspective. We'll never go into a city uninvited. And what that means is that we have local ambassadors that work with us to organize each and every one of our AngelHack hackathons. And these ambassadors are empowered to really be the leaders of their AngelHack initiative. And we provide them with a template and guidance and mentorship to really be the focal point of, their entrepreneurial community. We want to make sure that our ambassadors have a knowledge of technology or the entrepreneurial landscape. They have an understanding of local long-term aims and wants. What that means is that we want them really to be tied into their local dev community. And they're change makers. So they're individuals that see the way things are right now and recognize the potential of how they could be. And they want to utilize AngelHack as well as various initiatives to bolster not only their own profile, but the profile of their developer community. So a lot of the ambassadors that we work with really are huge advocates for the developers and the entrepreneurs that are in their respective regions. These are individuals that are incredibly passionate about their mission and AngelHack's mission, and really help for us to facilitate incredible events, and also to bring the brightest minds from around the world to Silicon Valley. They're natural ecosystem and community builders, individuals that are well connected with other community members as well as corporations, and really are in it for an altruistic outcome. They're not really in it to gain anything other than being a connector and really seeing other people succeed out of working with AngelHack and working on other developer community related initiatives. One of the things that we definitely wanted to talk about today was the AngelHack Principles. Now, AngelHack has been around for over a decade, and we went through a lot of challenges really trying to define who we are. We're very unique in the sense that there are very few companies that do what it is that we do. And so we did not have the luxury of being copycat and looking at things that have already been done and improving upon them. Rather, we're first to market. And so it was really important for us to do some introspection and observation of who we are and what's important to us, and what of those tenets and principles we wanted to espouse for our developer community and really embed into every initiative that we run at AngelHack. So the first one is hacking means more than just writing great code. And, to unpack that a little bit, we are all for really great code and, ultra smart developers. I really got into this business because I'm awe-inspired by developers and what they're able to accomplish and their skill. But really, there's so much more that goes into building an app and creating a solution that's going to have a lasting effect. And so we are constantly working on educating our developer community, being thought leaders, and making sure that we're focusing on not just those few individuals that have exceptional technical talent, but the other ones that may have other skills that are not as celebrated as often. We care about tech for good. And so, this goes along with the other point of making sure that we have a holistic understanding of what technology is and what it means for people and the power that it has. And we know that if we're strong supporters in technology for good and social good hackathons and social good challenges, and we really prime our community to think about what would be good for what would be the greater good, rather than what would kind of make the $1 million or multi-million-dollar app. This is something that's really near and dear to us, and something that we really work on all of our events, and also advocate for all of the corporate events and corporate innovation initiatives that we do. We believe in free data and open platforms. So we believe in sharing and making sure that everyone has access to technology and information. We believe in holistic hackers, and we thrive on diversity. These are all tenets that we believe in, that are going to create a much more positive and sustainable technology culture and developer community. And these are things that we take with us into every hackathon initiative and every community building exercise. A few more, we're comfortable in a state of flux. This is kind of what we do in and day out. And with hackathons, you know, if you try to plan every part of a hackathon, you really take out the essence of what the hackathon is. I know a lot of partners that I've worked with in the past, they want to do an application process for hackathons and all sorts of other things that where you can really mitigate who's coming in. And my advice to them is, you know, be okay with not knowing all of the elements, and be okay with not knowing whether someone is that has the perfect background or the perfect skill set to solve your technical challenges or your innovation roadblocks. You never know where solutions are going to come from. And so this is a kind of, you know, one way that we enact this particular principle is we don't over plan, and we really plan in a way for us to be able to be prepared and make sure that things go off without a hitch, and, you know, are executed really well, but people have the freedom to be creative and not boxed in. We love having big ideas. We're great at taking great risks. We run organized chaos. And finally, to us, it's all about play. That's basically how we function. We go big, we go hard. We want to make sure that everybody that comes to our events is having a great time, that they feel safe and included, and that they feel like that they're part of a bigger picture. And we hope that all of the developer initiatives that you work on moving forward, there's similar principles, or you have, you know, better principles that you enact for your developer community to make sure that this is something that's thought through, and that every party that's involved is benefiting. Christina, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, and this goes along with that, but it's really something throughout our programs. We try to engage this paradox of developers, that they have this hunger for intellectual challenges along with a yearning for creative adventures, stepping outside the box. So how can we, you know, develop programs that really align with that? And in that same process of like, okay, taking that step to truly understand them, I think it's interesting to look at the different categories of motivations. Like, a lot of people focus on the hygiene factors, which are like more like working conditions, salary, company policies, things like that. Yes, they're important, but not to overlook the motivation factors, which are, you know, on this other level of achievement, recognition, addiction to problem solving, all of that, and paying attention to these things that they hate also. Definitely very interesting looking at the numbers keep showing this, that behavioral research is showing that when people are basically the happiest when they're learning new skills, challenging old ones, and even the younger generation, it's getting even stronger. So people are willing to be paid less for work that they find interesting, meaningful, fun, teaching them new skills, getting them outside of one very narrow space. So, and a lot of jobs are very narrow and siloed. So a lot of times hackathons are a way to like spark that up and really allow people to get outside that space, create these synergies that are often missing, that were key to a lot of the old patent innovation formulas, where they do have you kind of cross those lines. And this is something we talk about, and I think now more than ever, people are really seeing this, that yes, there has been amazing innovations happening, but a lot of it has been towards this small sector of humanity and kind of increasing the comforts and this and that. Meanwhile, we've ignored some of these huge issues that are just looming right around the corner over the next decade, like the emergency needs of cities and health, education, smart resource consumption. Like, all of these things are still very archaic in so much of the world. So, hey, how do we try to be the ones in the front of the field foreseeing these and, you know, gearing this amazing innovation community towards those problems? And just from, you know, all of our fun adventures, these are some of the best practices in marketing. Of course, you know, really understanding the audience market fit, you know, what is the market demand that this program is meeting, understanding the audience segment channels. First to market doesn't always matter. It's really about developing that unique voice. How well do you understand them? Where are they hanging out? Where, you know, understanding that deeper identity, what are their hobbies? Then you can start to understand their journey a little more. But go-to-market strategy, always having a customized blueprint, you know, always going beyond that formula as you're establishing the message, unique channels, and promotion, including the 7 Ps: price, promotion, product placement, people, process, and physical evidence. Partnership awareness, again, you know, that's part of the understanding the right channels for the right audience, creating an easier kind of roadblock. Retain and entertain. So this is not meant to be short term. Like, as you develop this persona with your digital and in-person audience, how are you going to maintain that connection beyond the hackathon? So yes, you know, using some automated channels, but then keeping that relationship. You know, we always bring in the social proof also when we do events, door prizes, contests. And then, of course, measure, report, scale. So collecting those KPIs, impressions, projects, attrition, always looking at the pros and cons and the feedback from the audience, so that, you know, because each company really is different and needs a different type of program. So the partners that we have annually, or that, you know, we continue the relationships, it's amazing to watch them get so much better through time. And
Great. And
yeah, I'll go ahead.
okay. And then event best practices. So, you know, make sure that there are proactive deliverables, making sure that we have a comfortable atmosphere. Every hackathon should have mentorship and networking. You know, there is an invaluable element to making sure that, if nothing else, if someone does not, you know, join a team, if they don't submit a project, that they at least have an opportunity to learn and to meet like-minded individuals. And since the beginning of AngelHack Days, you know, that's actually been one of the strongest aspects of our hackathon events, that people who are even non-technical, that have never attended a hackathon before, should feel comfortable enough to be able to come to an AngelHack event and network and meet a team and feel welcomed. Another thing that we always want to focus on is opportunities, right? So dreams into reality, and making sure that we have event elements put into place where people have an opportunity to take their prototypes and go to the next stage, whatever that may mean. It doesn't mean that you have to give them, you know, $5,000 in investment or anything along those lines, but there should be some sort of structure put in place to ensure that those individuals that want to keep working on their projects, that want to keep building on the momentum that they created at the hackathon, have an opportunity to do that. Again, that goes, you know, along the lines of post-hackathon continuity, and making sure that we have the opportunity to stay in touch with everybody after the event. And you know, a lot of these hackathons that are online these days, they, you know, they create Slack groups, and then there's really no opportunity to continue to engage that group afterwards. Even the organizers kind of slowly drift off of the Slack group, and then, you know, it's only a matter of time before it gets shut down. But all of these things need to really be thought through, because you're creating a massive amount of positive energy and, you know, positive results from a hackathon. And thinking about what happens after the fact is almost as important as thinking about what's going to happen during the hackathon. Christina, were there any parts in that I left out that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think you caught most of it. Yeah, I mean, the dreams into reality just follows like the thinking big, that people just get this motivation from big ideas, and when you let them dream positively. And I think now a lot of the world energy is so dark and dismal and, you know, not hopeful about the future. So I think it's very powerful, and it does create this contagious energy. And that's, you know, along with atmosphere, so important to all of our hackathons, like that energy that's created and that we're creating online also through virtual.
Great. And then partner motivations. These are also things to take into consideration when you're organizing a hackathon, that it's all about the ecosystem, and the better events are ones that reach out to partners and make sure that, you know, the entire local ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, is included in your initiative. Just, you know, being in this industry for over a decade and organizing events when hackathons were not a commonplace, were not things that were happening every single weekend. One of our best practices was to reach out to every co-working space, every meetup group, really every mailing list that we possibly could, to invite them to be, first of all, a part of the organizing experience and committee, but also to just open up the event and the opportunity to their community members. And, you know, some of the things to take into consideration when trying to get partners involved is giving them the opportunity to grow their own community, giving them branding and awareness opportunities, recruiting and innovation opportunities. So, you know, I think that as time went on and people really started moving away from hackathons as community events and turn them more into, you know, unfortunately, commercial events, we came out of this in, you know, a little bit more of a proprietary kind of way. You need to buy a ticket for a hackathon, and it's exclusive, and this and that, and oh well, you know, you can't get into this hackathon because they're giving away swag bags that are valued at $500 or more. Personally, for me, I would want to host an event that's as inclusive as possible, and maybe, you know, get a more reasonable type of giveaway that everyone can enjoy and that the entire community can get behind. Again, Christina, anything you want to add?
No, I think that was perfect.
Cool. Oh, all right. So, I mean, hacks, what could go wrong? A lot of things. And again, we've seen it all. Some things that are just not appropriate to talk about in this type of setting, and other things that are just utterly disturbing that maybe everyone who's organizing a hackathon goes through, like attrition rates and you know, judges dropping out at the last minute. Some of the things that we see happen all too often include lack of education or understanding of the problem being solved. So, you know, a company will come out and say, oh, well, we want to create a solution for diabetics to be able to, you know, integrate their IoT apps, their watch, their fridge, their phone, and to make, you know, their lifestyle a little bit more comfortable, or whatever it may be. Now, as well intentioned as this organization is to host this type of challenge, and as well intentioned is the developer community to participate and try to solve, we need to make sure that we take a pause and actually educate the developer community, maybe even start with diabetic patients and speak to them about what our intentions are and what we aim to do and what a hackathon is, and, you know, what are potential outcomes, and start you know, making sure that we're bridging the divide of information, and making sure that every single person understands what's going on, and that developers have access to information, developers have access to those that are creating solutions for. You know, that's kind of a change management 101. Faux pas is creating solutions for an audience that you don't know very well, or you haven't surveyed very well. And this is something that we definitely want to caution against. Short-term focus and impact fizzles. And so, Christina, do you want to talk a little bit more about this one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of times, you know, it's hard to have continuity around that energy that is, it's like a burst of energy sparked at the hackathon. So without some kind of way to bring the ideas to life or to keep people experimenting, there will be some kind of fizzle. So, that's why we have a lot of ideas to keep it going, keep that community meeting and building their ideas. And a lot of times there is like a cost to actually implement the winning ideas. Even if they're the more innovative, there's a shorter term cost to the long-term gain or infrastructure investment companies might be worried about taking. So this is one potential problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next two are really my biggest pet peeves, which is, there's no support structure to actually implement ideas, and the event is really just a PR show. And it doesn't necessarily have to be both. There are very well-intentioned hackathons that really don't think about what happens after the hack. So a lot of the times when I'm talking to our partners, it's really reverse engineering the process and saying, well, what do you want to do with the developers that show up to your event and the winning ideas that come out of the hack? And if our clients don't have a clear answer, we really take a pause and educate them on all of the possibilities and the ROI that come out of a hackathon, and make sure that they go back into their organization and find answers to these questions, so that there's some efficacy in what it is that we're doing, and that we're showing a lot of respect for the developers that are coming out and spending their weekend with us, and making sure that their time is well spent and their time is valued. And then the same thing with, the PR show. Lots of virtual hackathons right now that are out there trying to lend their name to a worthy solution to, the COVID-19 crisis that our entire global community is facing. But, hosting a hackathon is one thing, and it's, nowadays it's becoming easier and easier. Really, the value comes in the organizations that are willing to work with winning ideas and winning teams and top innovators to bring their solutions to market. And it doesn't have to be something that's kind of this huge billion-dollar solution. Even if they work with a partner that has a solution that's just going to affect their rural area, or just their town, or just their particular region, I think those are all worthwhile initiatives, and that's how every organizer needs to think about this. Not only that, if we go back to hacker motivations, developers are becoming very weary of these type of PR and branding hackathons and events. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the PR message for something like this.
Yeah, and speaking to the last point, I think we've now seen so many times we'll come back to a city and find someone's speaking as one of the city's top entrepreneurs, and they're like, oh yeah, we lost this AngelHack competition, and but now they just had such original minds and hustle, versus sometimes the winning idea was picked because it was more sexy, but then it has tons of hidden obstacles or smoke and mirrors, and so people overlooked the really less sexy but much more needed or practical ideas. So that's another problem we'll talk about, a possible solution too.
Great. Christina, do you want to talk about evolving hacks?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially, this is some of the solutions to these problems. So really establishing a learning phase. This could be for in-person or virtuals, where people can dive in. And a lot of times they want to. They're like hungry to like, okay, what can we do to get started early? And we just don't do anything that's wasting time, but essential kind of interesting information. And master classes is one example. Expert panels on, if this is a industry focused hackathon, hey, developers might not know all the ins and outs of the real-time problems on the field. So enlightening them about that. Like we even had the Ministry of Health in Nigeria sitting there just pitching all the biggest problems in their day-to-day life. And it made that hackathon so special. So even providing white papers with, or lists of kind of problems with thought partners. So like for COVID, hey, there's tons of health organizations that can give some guidance on areas that hackers might focus on. And then, you know, this aspect of needing evolution, yes, they really do, and that's why it's fun to evolve them with each partner. We did one collaboration where they created an avenue for prove the judges wrong. So hey, if you didn't win, but you're still working on your idea and you get some traction, maybe there's some opportunity to get support. So it's a good way to encourage people to keep going. Otherwise, you get all these people that may be sad and give up on their idea when, guess what, the judges missed the best idea in the room. You know, and this leads to AngelHack's Hackcelerator program. As we evolved as a company, really wanted to provide this structure to help you bring these ideas to life. So, okay, even multiple teams can go into this 12-week virtual mentorship, bringing that prototype up to an MVP. And then, you know, also looking at, okay, what does success mean for a participant, and changing what that means. So a lot of times our prizes are beyond cash. So it's like experiential or multi-dimensional, and really, you know, an avenue within the company to build something through revenue sharing or whatever that might look like for this specific program. And then just because, you know, people tend to be doubtful about what can really be created. You know, I've heard a lot of people throw some shade at the possibilities, what, you know, in 1 day or 2 days, what can be made. We just want to highlight a few of the ideas from AngelHack. This is one of my favorites that I think is a good example of even emerging economies teaching something to the West in, hey, you know what, a lot of countries, they are really putting every resource to max usage. So, you know, for example, in a lot of Africa, you know, the ratio of doctors to patients can be 5,000 or even up to 17,000 people for one doctor. So it's really not even possible for people to get this knowledge about, hey, they're getting these danger signals of a disease. People find out often very much too late in the process. So this team, 2 of them are medical students that are self-taught coders, also work together to make something that also enables people in a brilliant kind of switch on a model to earn income as diagnosers. So with a $300 smartphone attachment, it can do extensive eye scans that will determine your heart disease risk, diabetes risk, and diagnose all sorts of other signals that will enable people to know, hey, there's ways to change your behavior and prevent getting an advanced disease state at a very small price. So everyone in this system is really is a win-win for everyone here. And this is something that, you know, even the West could definitely use. This was one of the Spain winners that, you know, I think they're raising another round, but I know they had over 2 million in funding, and we're just so popular. It's just something that seems so obvious as a need, but it's really been overlooked, of training young people in not just, okay, saving towards SMART goals and thinking big about their financial goals, but also, hey, what are the most recent tools for investing, and, you know, becoming really, really savvy in that space. Wrap Up, this is another awesome Middle East startup that came out of a Dubai hackathon. Double acquisition, last I heard, yeah, pretty recently, first by Voicera and then by Cisco. But it's, you know, they had been consultants and saw like this need for, hey, taking all this voice meetings, summarizing those meetings into action items in a smart way that would, you know, save time and direct everyone towards these big goals. And then just touching on this, you know, it's an issue a lot of people are talking about and becoming more curious about as we're in this situation. And with COVID, what are the virtual competitions looking like and the opportunities around them? We've done quite a bit of experimentation with You can see some of the past virtuals: Master the Mainframe, a global UAE blockchain GovHack, Food Waste Hackathon, Q Awards, and a lot of those have developed into like really advanced multi-stage with all sorts of incentives along the way and learning phases and badges and all of that. But just wanted to, give a shout out to some upcoming ones. I think it is a special time when a lot of people are at home and they're yearning for some meaningful outlets, and people want to contribute to these issues facing the globe, like the COVID situation, of course, that we have an upcoming collaboration on, and climate change, another huge overlooked issue that we have, the young people especially want to be working on and facing. Microsoft Virtual, and then also UNESCO Youth Hackathon that is going to be able to be participated in April.
Well, we want to thank you all for joining us and following along. If you found this to be helpful, please put a comment in. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. And if you have anything to add from your hackathon experiences or your developer community adventures, then feel free to comment there as well. Thank you again for listening, and have a good one.
Bye, everyone.